Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Jaded Blossom's December 2024 release is now available and they have a new adorable gnome friend. If you are interested in the December release, I do have links in the description box below. So I'll start with the stencil sets. There's Winter Sparkle Stencil and also Ice Cube Stencil. The Winter Sparkle set is the freebie you'll receive if you purchase at least $50 worth of product, and one item must be from the new release. I love both of the stencils and I will be using them on some cards later on in the video. The first die set, super excited. This is a new embellishment cluster set. It's called Winter. There are 4 images included, 3 different sizes of each image. So we have snowflakes, snowmen, pine cones, and also mittens. And what's so great about the embellishment cluster, 6 of those pieces are welded together on one die. So you can quickly cut out lots of pieces. Here's a look at the new gnome friend. Say hello to Penguin. I've been enjoying all the new gnome friends, but I think the penguin is my favorite so far. This set includes earmuffs, there's a headband with antlers, there's even a baby penguin. So cute. The next die set is an add-on for the street lamps, so you do need the original street lamp. But with the new winter add-on set, you can have a snowman on top, a snowflake, or you can add snow and icicles on the streetlight. It's so fun that Jaded Blossom releases all these add-on sets for their dies. That way you can get more use out of the die set and it works for different seasons and holidays. To go along with the penguin friends, there is a penguin face stamp set. And I love having the face stamps to go with the different critters. Now you can use the die set without the stamps, but I love all the different expressions included on the stamp sets. Here are the final items that are included in the release. We have the stamp set Penguin Kisses and also the coordinating outline dies. Jaded Blossom never disappoints with their amazing sentiment sets, and this one is perfect to use throughout the year. And I always recommend the outline dies. They cut out that perfect border around the sentiment. I have a few cards to share using the new release items. For most of the cards, the pattern paper I'm using is from Doodlebug Design. It's their Snow Much Fun collection. And I have the paper and a few of the scraps stored in a 6x6 Scrapmaster. And I will link all of the products that are still available in the description box below. For the background of my card, I selected the light blue with teeny tiny white polka dots. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add this piece on a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size. 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. At the bottom of the card, I'm adding this specialty cardstock. It's a silver holographic groove design, and I'm putting it at the bottom to look like a sheet of ice. This specialty paper is included in Your Paper Insiders Box 9. And this is the box you'll currently receive if you sign up and subscribe. If there are leftover boxes, you can purchase them individually. I do have a video unboxing this, so if you want to see all the different designs. And I'll use several papers from this box and also box number 1 on my cards. The green paper that I also showed, it's called Avocado Velveteen Felt Paper, and I will be using that on this card. But first I'll add this holographic groove paper at the bottom. And I made sure that those stripes go horizontally on the card. I'll add an icicle border at the top of the card, and this die is part of Jaded Blossom's winter die set. I used some of the specialty cardstock from Your Paper Insiders box. I'll put barely art glue on the back and adhere it at the top of the card. And you can see just a peek of some of the blue and white polka dot paper at the very top edge of the card. I also cut out 2 small snowdrifts, and the dies are from Jaded Blossom's Build-A-Booth Winter Add-on Set. I pulled out several of their winter die sets. I'll put one of the snow piles on the left and the other on the right. And I will place a large acrylic block on top for some added weight while the glue dries. Now I'll start assembling the adorable penguin. I have all of the die cut pieces in one of Scrapbook.com's stack and sort trays. I actually have 2 of the trays. I'll show you what's in the other one here in just a moment. We'll start off by assembling the penguin. For the very background piece, I use black cardstock, but all of it will be covered up, so you can use any cardstock color for this piece. For the main body of the penguin, I'm using more black cardstock. For the penguin's chest, tummy area, I use some white shimmer cardstock. And I'm gluing all of the die cut pieces on a cut down version of Scrapbook.com's white silicone project grip mat. That way if I get glue on it, it's easy to clean. It's not as easy to clean off my workspace mat. For the penguin's face, I've already gone ahead and stamped one of the eyes with the eyebrows, stamped it on white cardstock. I'll put barely art glue on the back and adhere the face piece in place. There are 2 pieces for the penguin's beak. The larger piece goes down first, then there's a smaller one for that top area of the beak. There are 2 different options for the penguin's feet. I'm using the pair that looks like the penguin standing, but there's also the bottom of the feet, so if you want your penguin sitting. It's always nice to have different options. This penguin will be wearing a scarf and also the earmuffs. For the outline piece of the scarf, I use black cardstock, but all of it will be covered up. For the actual scarf pieces and also the earmuff areas, I'm using some of the lovely green velveteen felt paper that's included in box 9 from Your Paper Insider. It's super soft and it really looks like fabric. I'll put glue on the back of the scarf and adhere it on the penguin. Want to make sure this penguin stays nice and cozy. Now I'll assemble the earmuffs. This time I use white cardstock for that background piece, but again, it will all be covered up. I'll start by attaching the soft green pieces of the earmuff. And for the headband area of the earmuff, I cut this out from some white glitter paper. And this is also one of the specialty papers from Your Paper Insider. I believe this one came in box 1. Before that glue dries completely, trying to make sure I get those 2 pieces all lined up evenly. Now I'll put glue on the back of that headband area and adhere it in place. To attach the earmuffs onto the penguin, I'm putting just a tiny bit of barely art glue on the inside area near the penguin's head. I'll press down firmly. Then to make sure that stays in place, I'll flip over the penguin and add a strip of clear double-sided adhesive tape on the back. And that'll help it stay attached while the glue dries. I'll also be popping up the penguin and putting foam dimension on the back. I have 2 final pieces to add to the penguin, and that's its flippers. And there are 2 options for flippers for the penguin. The pair that I'm adding has its little flipper sticking out. There's also a smaller pair that you can use for the penguin to hold different objects. The nice thing about the gnome friends, they can hold all the same objects that the gnomes can hold. So there's the main penguin all assembled. So cute. There's also a baby penguin, and I'll be adding one on this card. There are far less pieces for the baby penguin. There's the background piece. I use black cardstock. The front that has the eyes and the tummy chest area, I use white cardstock. There are still 2 pieces for the beak. Use orange cardstock for those and also for the penguin's feet. Now for the baby penguin, there's only one option for the feet. So the baby penguin does need to stand up. The other option for the baby penguin is to have the larger penguin hold it, since it is small enough. To pick up that smaller piece of the beak, I did use the wax tip end of Scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool. And I'll use that tool again for the penguin's eyes. Put a small drop of Barely Art glue down first, pick up those eyes, then press them in place. And before the glue dries completely, I'll make sure to adjust the eyes so they're evenly spaced. Final pieces for the baby penguin are attaching its teeny tiny little feet. So there's the baby penguin. Want to do one final touch, add that highlight in the center of the baby penguin's eyes. And I'm using a white gel pen. I just opened a brand new pen and it's really juicy, so I'm scribbling off some of it on a piece of scrap cardstock first. Next, I'll add foam dimension on the back of both of the penguins. I'll remove the release paper from the clear double-sided adhesive tape first. For foam dimension, I'm using the small and large foam squares from Scrapbook.com. This is their 1 millimeter thickness, so it doesn't add a lot of dimension. I'll make sure to get good coverage on the back of both of the penguins. I only need a few pieces behind the baby penguin. And before adhering the penguins down, I'll first add the sentiment. I've already stamped and cut this out. Happy birthday. Use black ink on white cardstock, put glue on the back, and adhere the sentiment in the upper right-hand corner underneath the icicles. Now I'll remove the release paper from the foam, add the larger penguin on the left side of the card, and this penguin will be standing in front of one of the snowbanks. And I'll put the smaller penguin on the right side underneath the sentiment. The two penguins look so cute together. They're off on adventure, maybe doing a little sledding or skating. This could be Big Brother taking his younger sibling out for a fun snow day. For a final finishing touch, I'll add some snowflake die cuts, and I use the new Winter Embellishment Cluster die set. If you haven't heard me say it before, I love Jaded Blossom's Embellishment Cluster die sets. So easy to customize your embellishments. And since these are paper embellishments, they don't add a lot of bulk. You can also cut out lots of embellishments very quickly, since 6 of those images are welded together on one die. So there is my finished card. I love how this turned out. The specialty paper at the bottom really does have the look of ice. For card design number 2, I am using a card sketch for inspiration. This is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 57. The pattern paper I'm using for this card is from Catherine Pooler. It's the Through the Woods collection. I've already gone ahead and cut out all of the pieces for the card, and I am changing up the card sketch just a little bit. I won't be adding that smaller rectangle piece. For the image panel, I stenciled the background using the new Winter Sparkle stencil set. And I'm layering it on this gorgeous red foil specialty paper. And this paper is included in box 9 from Your Paper Insider. For the narrow strip going across the card, you'll only see a tiny bit of it peeking out on the right and left side. It's a light tan with white snowflakes. For a little bit of separation, I'm adding a Love from Lizi peel off along the edge. This is the pinstripe style in brown. And I'm trying to use some of the small scrap pieces since I know most of this area will be covered up. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some more of the red foil paper. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and add this panel on the plaid paper for the background. And you'll only see that 1/4 of an inch border of the plaid paper, but I think it still adds a lovely design. I love the look of the red foil cardstock for the layers. It's super shiny. And I think the name of it is simply Red Metallic Foil Cardstock. It's fairly thin at 60-pound cover weight, but it adds a beautiful shine. And you may have noticed I cut a heart out of that smaller square. You will see that here in a moment. Now I'll put adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base. I'm adding a small scrap piece of pattern paper on the inside of the card just for a little extra detail. Now I'll put adhesive on the back of the stenciled panel and adhere it on the card more toward the top. The ink color I use for stenciling is Catherine Pooler's Sand Castle. The nice thing about Catherine Pooler's paper pads, on the cover sheet at the bottom, it lists coordinating inks that match perfectly with the pattern paper. I've already gone ahead and assembled a penguin. Decided to go with a brown penguin. This is a little girl. She's holding a heart. So here's that heart that I cut out of that square piece. Using more of the metallic paper, I also cut out a bow and put it on the top of the penguin's head. And this penguin has the smaller flippers so she can hold an object. The penguin will be sitting on a pile of snow. I'll adhere that in the lower left-hand corner. Want to leave enough space on the right side to add a sentiment. I will pop up the penguin using more foam dimension from scrapbook.com. Behind the bottom area of the penguin, I didn't put foam dimension. Instead, I'm adding a scrap piece of cardstock. I'll remove the release paper, add barely art glue on that scrap cardstock area, and adhere the penguin in place. For a sentiment, I've already stamped and cut this out. Penguin Kisses. I'll put foam dimension on the back, this time using the 1/4 foam roll from scrapbook.com in the 1mm thickness. On the card sketch, it has the oval, which could be the sentiment, in the lower right-hand corner, but I'm adding it on the right side of the penguin. For embellishments, I cut out a bunch of the pine cones, and this is from the Winter Embellishment Cluster die set. At this point, I'm not sure where I want to place them, so I'll move them all around until I'm happy. I like the 2 in the lower left-hand corner, and I decided to put 3 underneath the Penguin Kisses sentiment and on the right side of the penguin. I will pop up some of the pine cones. Use the small foam squares from scrapbook.com, and I'll use a half piece of foam behind that smaller pine cone. Add those first 2 in the lower left-hand corner. Then I'll put a small pile of them underneath the sentiment. The pine cone on the left underneath the sentiment I'll glue down, but the other 2 I will pop up with more foam dimension. I'll use more of the half square pieces. I cut these earlier. So one nice thing about scrapbook.com's foam, you can easily cut it in half or thirds, depending on what size you need. So there is my finished card. I love how this turned out. The brown and red look so good together, and I think this would be a perfect card for Valentine's Day. Now moving on to card design number 3, and just to save time on this video, I've already assembled most of it. December is always a super busy month for me. For the background of the card, use more of Doodlebug's pattern paper. For the strip at the bottom, it's gray cardstock, and I sprayed it using Distress Spritz. This is the Hickory Smoke color. So it adds this lovely shimmery detail. I added one of the new street lamps, has the snow on the top and some icicles hanging down. The sentiment, "You're a Waddle Fun." I'll be adding 2 penguins, a little girl penguin and also a baby. Already put foam dimension on the back. I'll add both of those penguins in place, putting the girl penguin on the right side and the baby penguin next to the street lamp. For embellishments, I'm adding more of the snowflakes, and these are from the new Winter Embellishment Cluster die set. For the last couple months, I've really been wanting some small snowflakes, and now I have a die set. And it's so nice that I'll be able to cut out a bunch at once. The cardstock I used for the snowflakes is from Your Paper Insider Box 1. It's pearlescent and it does have a little bit of a texture on it. Hard to see with the snowflakes, but it's very pretty. I selected 5 of the snowflakes. I'll put 1 on the left side of the street lamp, 3 on the left side of the sentiment, and 1 snowflake on the very right side. So there's my finished card. This one was really fun to make, and I love that beautiful shimmery street that the penguins are standing on. I have 2 more cards to share using the new release, although I did not record the process. This first card features Jaded Blossom's diagonal card matte die for the background, and I couldn't resist making a purple penguin just because. The pattern paper is from Doodlebug Designs' Snow Much Fun collection. My final card, I used the new Ice Cube Stencil set. The ink color for the ice cubes is Distress Oxide Tumbled Glass. And to add that sparkly highlight, I used some Astro paste from Simon Hurley. This is the Clear Skies color. Looking at the Astro paste in the bottle, it doesn't look very glittery. But once it dries, all that gorgeous glitter shows. And the nice thing is the glitter does not shed. I added the sentiment, hope your birthday is the coolest. This little penguin is holding a couple of snowballs, and he's already built several tiny snowmen. Now here's another look at the 5 cards I made using Jaded Blossom's brand new December 2024 release. This is a really fun release, perfect for winter cards, although you could use most of the items throughout the year. I absolutely love the new Gnome Friend Penguin. As you can see, I made a bunch of penguins just on 5 cards. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. If you're a fan of gnomes, Jaded Blossom has you covered with all their fun gnome dies. But if you're not a fan of gnomes, no problem. They now have lots of different gnome friends, including the newest penguin. Jaded Blossom never disappoints with their fun releases, and all of their stamps, dies, and stencils are made here in the US. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.